This is a late addition to the part 2 video of the drone transceiver idea. Looking at the comments and questions in part 1, there's something I want to clarify. We have a proposed electronic box that could be attached to any drone, turn it into a frequency hopper, but that is not the main thing message about this idea. The frequency hoppers have been tried before. It's very effective against certain kinds of jamming, but there are two take-home messages about this proposed box. The first is the speed of the frequency transmissions. It's a microsecond. Light travels 1,000 feet in a microsecond. So in loose terms, imagine that the drone is more than 1,000 feet away from the jammer. By the time the drone signal is received by the jammer at the speed of light, the drone has changed frequency, so it's impossible for the jammer to inject a signal into the drone receiver. It cannot follow the frequency. That's point number one. The second take-home point is that because it's transitioning so fast, it's likely that the network or the communication link will be invisible to the jammer. So it can't even see it, let alone jam it, and certainly can't react fast enough to jam it. Now, what could happen is the jammer could try to guess. It could spot jam here and there. And if the communication network moves into that band, then depending on propagation and how the sums add up, antenna gains and transmitter powers and so forth, receiver sensitivities, there could be a problem. But if we detect that spot jamming, and then we can avoid it. So anyway, let's proceed with the part 2 video.
Here's a 40-second summary. Consumer drones are effective for combat, but they are easily jammed because they use Wi-Fi and those frequencies are in the public domain. This can be fixed by attaching a small, lightweight transceiver box to the drone and its controller handset. The transceiver replaces the Wi-Fi link with a link that is made unjammable by a breakthrough in ultra-fast radio frequency hopping technology. The jammer is basically shut out by the laws of physics. Now, no drone modification is required. The drone can be used as shipped by the manufacturer. All the drone video and control signals flow through the transceiver, and since the transceiver has a microcontroller, a bunch of AI-based features can be backfit later, including features that haven't been invented yet. Ukraine is using consumer drones extensively in their war against Russia. Now, by consumer drones, I mean inexpensive drones buyable by the general public, as distinct from commercial or military drones, which are complex and expensive. But there's a problem with using consumer drones for combat. They use Wi-Fi, so they're dead easy to jam. Wi-Fi signal characteristics are perfectly known. Therefore, it's necessary to solve the jamming problem because otherwise we can't operate with any drone that uses Wi-Fi, including commercial and military drones that happen to use Wi-Fi. But if this problem is solved correctly, then a Swiss Army knife of other advantages becomes available for all Wi-Fi drones, including and especially the inexpensive consumer drones. Here are just 6 possibilities, and there are many more, and they are potentially game-changing. Pause the video if you want to read them. Some will be covered later in this video. And by this solution, there's no need to do any surgery at all on any drone, regardless of type. The Wi-Fi drone and its controller, regardless of type, are used just as they come out of the box. Before going any further, I want to establish some credibility. So who's behind this video? It's 3 semi-retired specialists in EW and industrial telecommunications. We have figured out novel ways to combine various missile defense technologies to indefinitely extend the combat effectiveness of inexpensive consumer drones. Our training and professional development is from the 1980s Cold War period and involved multiple technical and programmatic disciplines. It was a completely unique time to acquire special skills in scientific research, engineering, and project management. We were lucky to have those opportunities, and we made the most of it. So here it is. The centerpiece of this proposal is a transceiver to replace the consumer Wi-Fi link with a link that is practically unjammable. This is only now possible because of a technical breakthrough in May 2024 by a Canadian team member after many years of work. Patents have been filed and awarded internationally for the technology that makes this communication link possible. How it works? The transceiver is a small, lightweight box that houses RF components and an onboard computer powered by a coin battery. Just clip the box onto the drone and an identical one onto the operator's controller so the two can talk to each other and launch. During a mission, the transceivers transfer the video and control signals in both directions via the jam-hardened communication link, and the signals at both ends are down-converted to Wi-Fi so they can be used by the unmodified drone. All video and control signals are flowing through the transceiver boxes, so the onboard computer can process those signals and classify targets and regulate the video signal and gather information and even substitute any commands if it wants to. For example, to detect and hunt for a jammer or to automatically find and kill a target after the operator has navigated the drone to the target vicinity. Okay, benefits. Point 1, unjammable communication link. The Canadian RF breakthrough makes the transceiver practically unjammable. By the laws of physics, a repeater jammer won't work, partially because of the physics constraints on how the signals travel between the transceivers. Because of the speed of the frequency hopping, for the foreseeable future, the enemy's only option is a barrage jammer, which requires RF power so high that it would shut down all equipment, friendly and hostile, in the transceiver's possible operating bands over an area big enough to protect against drone attack. And by the way, this means that when the enemy turns their jammer on, they can't operate their own drones in or from the area protected by the jammer. There's a link in the description section of this video to another video further explaining these points.
I want to add a slight refinement. There is something else that the jammer could do other than jam the entire possible operating band of the transceiver, and that is to spot jam. So a low power, considering the transceiver, a low power signal that is hopping in frequency at blinding speed, it might not even be detectable. And if it wasn't detectable, what the jammer could do is decide to jam certain bands. And it could get lucky if the transceiver didn't detect that there was a jammer there. It could move into that band and you would lose, potentially, depending on how the sums add up, lose communication while the transceiver is operating in that band. But we might just decide to exclude it. So anyway, it's not as simple as just broadly jamming, barrage jamming all possible frequencies.
Point 2, extended drone range. Drones fitted with the transceivers form a self-organizing repeater network which allows an operator to reach long-range targets by launching, let's say, 1 or 2 repeater drones along with the killer drone. And the repeater drones, they all return to base after the mission since they're not carrying a heavy explosives payload. It also means hardening against propagation losses. Multipath is mitigated naturally with frequency hopping, provided the hopping bandwidth exceeds the coherence bandwidth of the channel, which is only several megahertz for an outdoor propagation, and we're hopping over a much broader band than that. And the distributed drone communication network will incidentally mask the geolocation of the drone crew. I mean, the enemy may see the repeater signals, but which one of those is the drone crew? Or maybe none of them are. Point 3. So jammer hunter can be made into a jammer hunter. The drone can. Drones equipped with a transceiver form a self-organizing network, so they could be used to triangulate the enemy's jammer and destroy it or report its location. Point 4. Geolocate enemy drone crews. By the same methods, a drone network could be used to geolocate Russian drone operator crews. The drones could do this automatically during a mission without operator involvement. It's just software that runs in the background that reports a result when it has one. Point 5, signal intelligence. The transceiver could detect and record the jammer signals, thereby providing intelligence regarding enemy capabilities. What are they jamming? What are they using for jamming? Point 6, it provides the option of a throttleable video link. If the transceiver box were fitted with a small video camera, the transceiver could adaptively throttle the bandwidth of the video signal so the operator always has a good enough image to find the target. The operator does not need a 4K HD video signal to guide the killer drone. Point 7, AI targeting. The killer drone's transceiver could include an AI target recognition module and autopilot. Point 8, there are other applications here. This might be the most important part. An intelligent transceiver means the drone's behavior can be enhanced indefinitely. The only thing that changes is the onboard software, not the drone that came out of the box. An inexpensive consumer drone might even outperform expensive military and commercial drones in some ways. Project status. The RF circuit breakthrough has been successfully demonstrated on a lab bench and several test articles have been produced and evaluated. The device is at TRL level 3 and funding is needed to take it to TRL level 9, which is fieldable devices. So this project needs funding for a risk-managed, milestone-driven plan with off-ramps. The broad strokes of the project might start by producing a proof of concept demonstration, and in the event of a positive finding there, build a negotiated number of units for combat evaluation, and in the event of a positive finding after that evaluation, establish production contracts. But whatever the project particulars turn out to be, the basic principle is value for money at each milestone, even if an off-ramp is taken and the project stops, even in that case. So contact Sky Industries for additional details and to discuss a milestone-driven project plan, because the last thing I want to do is to dictate the project to you that uses your money. And that said, we have some ideas. Now, the next video will present a short operations research analysis to answer what I think is a pretty obvious and important question to anybody who might want to invest in this. Is this something that the Russians can work around in 15 minutes? And a spoiler alert, the answer is no, it isn't, and no, they can't.